welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Creative with the LBC. We are learning how to play the ukulele, and today we're going to break some new ground. We're going to start learning how to play the lead part to a song that we've been working on the rhythm part for, which is called Wipeout. And for the past couple lessons, we've been talking about how to play the rhythm for Wipeout, and today it's time to play the other part. The two parts go together, and it's fun to play along with someone else if you have someone else that knows how to play. But even if you don't, you can do it by yourself. So we're going to learn how to play the lead part. It's a little bit different than strumming all the strings at once. Instead, we're going to play one note at a time. And that's just a little bit different. It's a little more precise. You have to focus a little bit more on what your fingers are doing. And the strumming action is going to be way more specific to one string at a time instead of all the strings. So we're going to start checking that out, and we're going to learn a way to read music. It's not the way that where you look at a staff, those lines that go across are called, that's called a staff. And when you put the little dots, the quarter notes, the half notes, the eighth notes, when you put those on different lines or spaces, those signify different notes. But in this method that we're going to talk about today, it's called tablature. You use numbers, and the lines actually represent the strings. So we're going to talk all about that. And once you know how to read tablature, there are a lot of songs out there that you can learn how to read and figure out for yourself. So let's break some new ground. It's going to be fun. Today's going to be baby steps. You know, we're going to take the baby steps. You got to crawl before you can stand up and walk. So today is our crawling day on the lead part, but crawling is still traveling. So we're getting somewhere, and it's going to be fun. So here we go. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to work a little bit with that exercise that I presented in the last lesson. I was talking about a finger exercise that will help you play individual notes. It's a little bit of a coordination thing between your brain and your hand, and I was suggesting that you start on the first fret and then play each fret with the next finger. You've got your first finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, and you run them up something like this. And you just get a clear, nice clear sound, and then you go backwards. More important to get a nice tone and a nice note than it is to go fast. The fast part comes later. The more you practice, the more comfortable and the faster you'll get. So today, we're not going to do that exercise, although I really do recommend that to get better at playing lead parts and single notes. But today, we're going to play the melody for the song called Wipeout, which is the song that we've been learning the rhythm part for. So the first thing we need to do is we need to talk about tablature. It's a way to write out music for people without having them learn how to read notes. So once you get, it's like a little code, it's like a little game. Once you get the idea, you'll be able to read tablature that other people have written, and there's quite a bit of tablature available for songs that you might want to learn. So once you know how to do it, it's a handy thing to learn how to do. There's tablature for bass, there's tablature for guitar, and today we're just going to talk about the tablature for ukulele. And so what you'll see here that I'm showing you is a blank line of tablature. And those four lines represent each one of the four strings. You can see there, I've labeled the strings, the A, E, C, G going down, and I even put the string numbers. Normally, if you see tab, like for example, if you're looking on the internet and you find songs, something might be written in tab. A lot of times it doesn't say the letter names of the strings, and it doesn't say the numbers. It just says T-A-B down right there where I have the letters. It says T-A-B, which means tablature, letting you know that this is not normal music reading with notes. It's just going to be the numbers. So each one of those lines represents a string, And it's as if you're taking your instrument and holding it up. So whereas our first string is on the bottom when we look down at it, when we look at the tab on the paper, it's like we're looking at our instrument this way. And so now the first string that was on the bottom becomes the top line, and that is the first string or the A string in the tablature. So if numbers are written on that top line, you will play them here on the first string. It's like looking down at it, but then the paper's up in front of you. So the numbers themselves represent the frets that you'll play. So you look and see what line is it on, representing what string you'll play, and then the number that's on that string is the fret that you'll put your finger on. And remember, when we put our fingers on the frets, we don't put them right on top, we put them just behind the fret, so that you're almost up to it, but not quite up to it. If there is a 0 or an O, that stands for an open string. So if there's a 0, then you just play that string by itself, with no fingers fretting any of the frets. So we have 3 parts to Wipeout. Now we have also 3 chords to Wipeout, and I have created this PDF that I would recommend that you print and put it in front of you while you practice this. I'll have it up on the screen too, but I think it's a good idea if you print it out so you'll have it to work with without having to look up at the video. So we have one part of the lead that goes with the A7 chord. We have one part of the lead that goes with the D7 chord. And we have one part of the lead that goes with the E7 chord. And then we go back to that D7. And then we go back to the A7 at the end. So the structure of that, as we talked about last time, follows a really popular chord progression called the 12-bar blues. Okay, so let's change our perspective a little bit so you can get a close-up of what I'm doing. If we look at the first line, there's a little A7 above that line, and this is the lead part that goes with the A7 chord. You'll notice that the first number is a 0. And what that means in tab, it's actually not a 0, it's an O, and that stands for the open string. An open string is a string that you hit without putting any fingers on it. So if you'll look at the first line that says A7 above it, we're going to play this entire thing on the second string, which is E, because that's the line that all of those numbers are written on. The first one says O, and make sure that your plucking finger is also on the second string. So it goes like this, O, 3, 4, 5. So we're gonna put, the open string is just like that. Then we're gonna play these with our fingers 1, 2, and 3, and it's gonna go open, 3, 4, 5. So that's the first little phrase. Now that next phrase, right next to it, says 5, 3, 0, 0, 3, 4, 5. So we're gonna go back down the way we just came. 5, 3, we didn't hit 4 that time, notice that. 5, 3, 0, 0, 3, 4, 5. That's the second phrase. And then the last 2 are 3, 0. Now we just played the first part. So let me play it for you without stopping. So it would go like this. So you notice we don't hit that 4 on the way back down. We only do it going up. So that is the first line while the rhythm player is playing the A7. It goes 0, 3, 4, 5, 5, 3, 0, 0, 3, 4, 5, 3, 0. Then you'll see the second line is the D7, and the D7 part is written out entirely on the first string, and that is the A string. And what I like about this song that's really great is that, especially for people who are just beginning, it is exactly the same part as the first A7 part, but it is on a different string. So now on the top, on string number 1, we would go the same numbers: 0, 3, 4, 5, 5, 3, 0, 0, 3, 4, 5, 3, 0. Okay, so that is the majority of the song right there. We've already learned the majority of it. Now let's just look at, this is the part that may be a little trickier. Go to the last line that starts with E7. You have to go all the way up to the 7th fret, which this dot right here tells you that this is the 5th fret, and this dot tells you the 7th fret. And a lot of times instruments will even have dots on the side so that you don't have to look down and kind of crane your neck. You can just look and remember that that first dot is the 5th fret, and this dot right here is the 7th fret. A lot of instruments have those markings. So we got to go to the 7th fret. We're going to put our 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the A string and play it twice. And then on the E string, the 2nd string, we're going to play the 7th fret. And then back to the 1st string for 5, 7. So we just played this phrase: 7, 7, 7, 5, 7. And then we slide our hand down and we put the 3rd finger, actually we're going to start with, the 3rd finger on the 5th fret and play 5, 3, and then the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So this entire lead part happens on the 1st and 2nd strings. So the last part would go like this. That's how you do it rhythmically. Okay, so those are the mechanics of how to play something in tab. We're going to work on doing it with a beat in a minute, but I can tell you at first, you probably shouldn't try to play it with a beat. You should probably just work through the song, take it very slowly, turn the video off, look at the PDF in front of you. That's why I think it's a good idea to print it out, and just work through how to make each of those notes sound right. Just go through very slowly. Don't even worry about a beat. Just make each one of the notes come out. It's not necessary to play with a beat at first. Just make all the notes come out, get a good quality tone, make it sound real nice. And then after you've done that to where you're comfortable, and you can kind of go, you can play it very slowly, then you're ready to try and play with the beat. And that's what we're going to do now. For the rest of the video, we're going to play with a beat that I've created. I've got a little rhythm part in the background that you'll hear, and you might not be able to play it this fast, even though this is going to be a very slow version. You might not want to try any beat at all at first. Just get comfortable with the whole idea. A lot of times the challenging part is not only getting your fingers down in the right spot, but also plucking the right string to go with the string that your finger is on, because if you're not plucking the right string, you won't get the right sound. So after you've done that work, getting used to the part, let's try to play this song now with the beat. If you remember from last time, we had 2 different ways to play a couple of the chords. We have the A7, we have the D7, then we go back to the A7, but then we have these bar chords. And you can see the chord charts there on the PDF. So the way that I like to have people play the song, of course you can do it any way you want to, but the first time through, we do the D7 down here. So we're doing all those A7s. Then we go to the D7. Then we go to the A7. Now this is where we jump up to the bar chord. Okay, so when you hear the rhythm track, we're about to try to play the lead with the rhythm track. When you hear that, the first time through, I just play all the chords down here. In case you're not quite ready for those bar chords yet. But then the second time it comes around, I'm going to do the bar chords. You'll hear them in the background while I play this. So, when you're ready and you feel like you can make these notes and it's sounding pretty good and you kind of have an idea of what you're doing, you're going to try to play along with me because this is a nice slow beat, and I'm going to switch the camera point of view again so that you can see up close what my fingers are doing. You're going to hear a second ukulele playing that's already been recorded to go along with the metronome, the bass beat that you'll hear. And we're going to try to put it all together. Okay, so let's see how we do. Okay, before we try to do it with a beat here and some accompaniment, I do want to talk about the way the lead part starts. Uses what's called in music pickup notes. It doesn't start on beat 1, so you can't go 1, 2, ready, go. You won't be in time with the other person that's playing or with the accompaniment if you're just playing with the accompaniment. You have to start right after beat 3. So it goes like this: a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. And there's where they would start. As soon as you hit this note, then they're starting with. So you lead in. That's why it's called a pickup note. It leads into the measure. So it'd be 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3. And that's a little bit tricky to get used to, but you'll hear it now when I start the accompaniment. The other thing is when we end on that last line and we go, one, 2, 3, 4. So there's a little bit that we have to wait. We have to let that measure finish before the whole process, the whole cycle starts again. Okay, so let's get a beat going here and see if we can make this work. Okay, you'll hear the count off. 1, 2, here we go.
1, 2, 3.
Next part. Back to the first part. Last line. Two, three. Go. Very nice. Okay. So there it is. We have now become lead players. It'll take some time. It'll take some practice. It'll take a little work. But you know, anything good takes work. So work with that. Be patient, just like everything else. It seems like it's a little bit hard at first. And sometimes it even seems like, I can't do this. But you can do it. You just need to give yourself a little time with it. Be patient. don't try to play with the beat right away. But eventually, I think that it's slow enough that you will be able to play with the beat, and next time we'll be speeding it up and adding a little bit of arrangement in there, and I'll show you how I've done this song with a group of students who did it in a performance, and there's some little flashy things we can do in there to make the song sound really nice. So that's it. We've done, that was just breaking the ice for the lead part. And once you know how to read that tablature, which now you do, there are a lot of things that you can get access to. You can read that code now. So when you see that kind of a thing, it won't be so foreign. You'll understand how to read it, and you can break a song down and learn it yourself. So I hope you have fun with that. My experience has been that when people learn, especially my younger students, when they learn how to do that lead part, it's pretty exciting, and it's a lot of fun. So I hope you do have fun with it this week. Practice your rhythm, practice your lead, and have a great week. Enjoy.